cash isn't a
Isn't king.
isn't king. It's not safe. It's not because it's in cash that it's not risky. Actually, you might be losing money by putting your money in cash because of
Yep.
inflation. So Sarwa is essentially a one-stop shop platform for people to have access to wealth building. Mastering the behavior and the emotions that have to do with making decisions around investing. What really guides an investing this decision is not looking at a balance sheet and saying, oh, this is a great business, it's underpriced, blah blah blah. It's no, everyone else is making money. I feel the FOMO, I feel the greed. I want to make money too. I'm gonna buy now, and then you end up buying high, or the other way around, right?
إذا قاعد بوجهك someone 20 something
Mhm.
in the Middle East, MENA region, who just like starting their career, starting life out of university, or even they decided to start a certain company. شو برأيك is the most important piece of advice فيك تعطيه؟
It's a very good question.
In this episode, I sit down with Jad Sayegh. Jad is one of the brightest and most fascinating entrepreneurs I have ever met. He, along with two of his co-founders, have founded Sarwa, one of the first investment platforms in the MENA region. The aim of Sarwa is to democratize wealth, to make investment tools and instruments available for everyone to build wealth. In this episode, we talk about their journey of raising $25 million to build Sarwa, entrepreneurship, technology, AI, crypto, investments, and a lot of more exciting topics. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and as always, don't forget to subscribe. Shad, for anyone watching this episode and doesn't really know you, can you tell us who you are and what you do?
Sure. So my name is Jad Sayegh. I'm the CTO and co-founder of Sarwa. So I'm Lebanese. I grew up here. I studied in Canada. I studied software, intersection of software and finance. I did my thesis on machine learning and finance. By then I worked in a high-speed trading hedge fund for a few years before founding Sarwa. So that was way back in 2018. I founded Sarwa alongside Nadine Mizher and Mark Shahwan, two other Lebanese co-founders. And that brought me basically to this side of the world. It's been an 8-year journey since.
What do you do at Sarwa?
So Sarwa is essentially a one-stop shop platform for people to have access to wealth building. The idea is to democratize wealth, democratize investing, and give access to anyone to the tools and instruments and opportunities that usually were reserved for high net worth or that were locked up behind some institution or high fees. So that's basically Sarwa's mission. That's what it was from the beginning. That's what we keep doing today.
Like one of the main challenges of starting a fintech company is mainly the engagement on this platform.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that in the Middle East, like we don't really have the same education, the same mentality as in the US maybe for investing in stocks, investing in cryptocurrency. So do you think there's a lot of additional challenges for a fintech company to be based in the Middle East compared to the US?
There's a lot of challenges that have to do with being based in the Middle East. I'm not sure if engagement or the market is a big one of them. It is. It's a different kind of market. Akid, you have to take into account the fact that people are starting from a different starting point. They have a different, let's say, they have a different level of practice when it comes to investing, and maybe they're used to investing in different things. So this was one of the observations that led us to basically start Sarwa. Was Mark came back here to Lebanon one summer and he was like, everyone basically invests in real estate and gold.
Yeah,
that's it.
100%.
Yeah, and you have a few people who invest in the stock market, but it's a minority, and usually it's
What do you think
not
is
directly access. And the market's wasn't mature enough. Regulation plays a role in it. So you have people who can invest in the stock markets, and that happens. But before it would happen basically through certain agencies or brokers with, maybe some higher fees, hidden fees, a lot of hidden fees, a lot of lock-in periods. So you put your money with them, but you can't take it out for another 10 years. And if you do, you have a penalty. No, this is, it's a bit predatory, but there's no regulation in place to sort of protect against it. And there's no access. And even globally, if you look at globally, participation in the stock market has gone up a lot. So there is a reality about the local market, but I don't think that's the main challenge of the fintech in the Middle East. The real challenge of a fintech in the Middle East is, you have everything that has to do with, every startup has similar challenges in the Middle East, which is it's a new ecosystem. You need funding. There are VCs, there are funds, but less than what you would find in the US, akid. You need talent. There are engineers, but there's not, a million universities that are churning out engineers or tech companies everywhere, etc. All of that has gotten much better recently, and it's really grown a lot in the last 5 years. It's crazy how much it's grown in the last 10 years. But when we started off, that was a big challenge. And then you have fintech, and as an industry, it's very specific. I guess how to illustrate this: if I were to start a social network, if that was the startup that we had started, the social network, the business and the platform is self-contained. Yeah, and what's that mean? I can go on the platform, I can do everything, and I don't need to interact with the real world. It doesn't even need to be my real name or my real personality, right? Everything is on the platform. It's the opposite in fintech. In fintech, everything is interacting with real money, real bank accounts, real people, because you need to know your customer, KYC, you need to make sure you have the identity of the person, you need to interact with payment gateways. Everything is real, and it's real. Very hard, cold, so-called cash being moved in the background. And that means you need to integrate with a financial system, and you need an ecosystem that's there that you can integrate with.
Okay.
As a tech company, you want it to be API driven, so that it's not just a brick and mortar bank with a website, right? That can't be a fintech. So you need the ecosystem to be there for you to be able to create a fintech. In the Middle East, this was also very new when we started off. It was a big challenge. It was like a puzzle every time we needed to add something new. Do we build it ourselves? Do we wait a couple of years? Maybe it will appear in the future. When you look at developed markets like the US and Europe, it's much more standardized. You have open banking, you have a healthy ecosystem. So the challenges are very much on that front when it comes to fintech in the Middle East.
Have you seen any culture shift من وقت ما you started Sarwa until now?
What kind of culture shift?
And among the people, culture in terms of more people maybe investing in stocks, more people knowing the importance of stocks, of wealth building.
Yeah, akid.
Because if you ask my father, like, if he would invest in stocks, he would rather maybe die before investing in stocks.
How come?
He thinks, they think the older generation here, not all the older generation, but I think the majority doesn't really know what the importance of investing in these kind of things. It doesn't really know how it works. So they think that it's something that they cannot really touch, and thus it's a huge risk where at any point in time they can get robbed of their assets. Maybe it's something that wasn't really taught to people in general. But have you seen a shift in the mindset towards this subject?
I think so. There's a part of it where akid is generational. I think the millennial generation, even the Gen X generation, and Gen Z, akid, it's much more integrated much more cosmopolitan, much more integrated into the global system, and trusts the global system a bit more. So I think there's a generational component to it. But otherwise, even beyond that, first off, the fact that there's more access, it means that people actually, before, like I said, people weren't investing in stocks. I think a part of it was there wasn't an easy way to do it. I've talked to a lot of people who understand very well that that's what they want to do. even before fintech, Sarwa was a thing in the Middle East. They knew very well that this is what they wanted to do. They just didn't have access to it. And when you don't have access, you don't have practice.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's another big thing. For people to invest in the stock market, a lot of it has to do with confidence, confidence and sort of knowing yourself as an investor. So there's an investor, very well-known investor, Benjamin Graham. He's like the sort of the thought leader or mentor or taba Warren Buffett. Benjamin Graham, he stresses a lot on this idea that the most important thing for an investor, okay, finance is important to know a little bit, but that's not the key thing. It's mastering the behavior and the emotions that have to do with making decisions around investing. لأنه a lot of times, what really guides an investing this decision is not looking at a balance sheet and saying, oh, this is a great business, it's underpriced, blah blah blah. It's no, everyone else is making money. I feel the FOMO, I feel the greed, I want to make money too, I'm going to buy now. And then you end up buying high, or the other way around, right? Everything's going down, the news is really, really bad, everything is really depressing, you sell, right? And so I think the last 5 years, 6 years, we had a decent amount of those ups and downs. For people who have been able to participate in the stock market during that time, myself included, those are huge learning opportunities. And you see how you behave when things go up and down. You're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that actually at that point.
During the war, مثلا.
During the war, 2020, COVID,
yeah,
it's a huge one. 2022, when things slowed down for a year. Trump Liberation Day, مثلا, all of these are big shocks, things going down, وبعدين things pick back up right away. That's just equities. Fee crypto, on the other hand, doing its own thing, its own ups and downs. So I think those two things, the fact that it's very mediatized, everyone is hearing about people making a lot of money on crypto, blah, 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 or on stocks. And the fact that inflation is a very real thing, it plays a big role. People are aware that cash isn't king. It's not safe. It's not because it's in cash that it's not risky. Actually, you might be losing money by putting your money in cash because of inflation. And inflation was a very big topic in the last few years. So a lot of people became aware, actually I should be investing. I should be putting my money somewhere. And the stock market, is one of those mechanisms. So I do think there's a culture shift. I think it has to do with the times that we all live in, not just in the Middle East, everywhere in the world. In the Middle East, it's enabled also by the fact that now there's access that before maybe wasn't there. So I do think that has happened a little bit.
Even if ما عندك كتير knowledge, investment knowledge or skills, I think you can easily determine that putting your money in cash في huge depreciation. لأنه إذا بتطلع بس على سعر الجولد in the last 4 months, بتشوف إذا you invested your cash 4 months ago قد إيه حتكون ربحان. So بس هيدا small indicator will show you قديش your cash would be depreciated.
أكيد. But we have to be careful when you're looking at a time frame where everything's going up.
Yeah.
لأنه it's not representative, right? Things go up in general. Thankfully, things go up in general. But you want to take a larger view and see all the ups and downs. There's years where cash was the best thing to invest in. I think 2022 was one of those years, but I'm not sure. Okay. Don't quote me on that.
خبرني شوي. What was it like the first days of Sarwa? Like, when was the tipping point? When did you decide to go full-time on Sarwa? Tell me a bit about Sarwa. Early days.
Yeah, sure. So Sarwa, we started Sarwa when we were still in Canada. Mark and I were still in Canada at the time.
Okay.
And this was about the summer of 2016. So 2016, 2017 was basically us putting around 20 hours a week. We had our full-time job, working the weekends, working after work, basically. And those early days are basically, it's funny because, you're starting from nothing. I think a big part was we talked to a friend of a family friend who's in the, a big financial executive in the UAE. We told him about what we wanted to do, and, we got really good validation, really good feedback. And he was like, if you guys go far enough, I might just invest with you guys. That gave us a big credibility boost. And then after that, it's just the same kind of pattern repeats itself where, I find in those early days for a startup, I think the main thing that's at a premium is credibility. It's like you have this idea, it sounds great in your head, but most people, if you tell them, they're like, yeah, it sounds great, but it's just an idea, it's just talk for now. And even that, it's just talk. So to go from that to something real, it's like you're always sort of collecting validation and collecting new pieces of the puzzle. So at the beginning, it was this first person who believes in what we're doing and who might be an investor later on. Then it's the professor from the university who also, decides that, yeah, he can work with us to help us build our portfolios. And then the next person we talk to, they see that, okay, we're building a team. Like there's now more than just two people talking about this. It starts to sort of grow as an idea, as something that people believe in. وأكيد behind that, there's the fact that you're building a real prototype, a platform, you're building a business plan. So there's serious work being put into it. And all that just has like a gravity effect where it goes from, atoms to something real. Nadine joins us at that time. Basically, we had nothing to do with the UAE. We knew nothing about it. I think Mark had gone once or twice before, and I had never gone before. So through a friend, we basically get in touch with Nadine, who had spent her life, I think about 13 years of experience in the UAE in marketing and tourism.
So شو كان الجول تبع نادين؟ So ليه she joined؟
So we needed someone to tell us a bit more about the market, about the UAE, just to make sure that we're not building something completely, off the map. And through a friend, we get in touch with Nadine, and Nadine gives us basically this huge expose of what the UAE is, of what a market it is. She likes a lot what we do. We like a lot, her what she does, her capacities and everything. And it just sort of clicks. So we're like, okay, let's team up. So this was early on. And I think the tipping point when we go full time was basically, we had cleared off so many things. And now we have backers now. We have people who we can think of as, okay, when we start our company, when we really launch, these are the people who will join the team. We have an idea who our supplier is going to be. So all these question marks, we've already sort of crossed them off. The only one that was left, and what a lot of investors actually, it was their sticking point. They were like, it sounds like a great idea, but we don't think you're going to get regulated. We don't think you're going to get a license.
ليه؟
لأنه it's a very good question, because up until that point, it would have been very difficult for someone who's not a bank and someone who doesn't have a huge amount of capital and backing to launch any kind of financial institution in the Middle East.
بس انت why would you need a huge capital?
To get a license, because you're launching, you're getting a financial license. You need to have a certain amount of capital backing. Just money sitting in the bank.
Why?
It's one of the requirements to get a license. So we were looking at these requirements, and I know Mark's Farraina, we were like, wow, okay, clearly this is not going to happen. And it just turns out we got lucky. We caught the wave at the right time that the UAE was launching a fintech license that year.
Okay.
So they're launching a fintech license that year. They're launching an accelerator to select some startups that are going to be part of this fintech license, or candidates at least. And we hear about this at the same time as we're building this prototype, this business plan, this team, everything. So we applied, we had everything ready, and we got in. We were like 10 out of 200 companies.
Wow.
Apparently they really liked the fact that, so there was a lot of other companies that were basically building stuff outside and then they just coming to the UAE to sell, right? And they liked the fact that, no, these are young entrepreneurs that are going to be based here and that are going to be building for this region and for MENA, basically. So they liked this homegrown thing, this authentic entrepreneur part. And that was a big part of them selecting us. So that was the tipping point. Once we got that, it was like this huge uncertainty that now finally we had a roadmap to lifting. And we knew that, okay, we need to get funding. To get funding, we need to do this.
But you got the license قبل ما تكونوا funded?
Yes.
Okay.
No, we didn't get the license before we got funded. We got on the track to get the license before we got funded. Okay. We got the funding and the license almost at the same time.
Nice.
So we were like, okay, we have in principle approval. then the VCs that we had talked to for a while, the investors that we had talked to for a while, who had been following us along for about 6 months up to that point, they were like, okay, let's do this. It was like, all right, everything has come together. But we had gone full time about 3 months, 4 months before that. And so we waited a long time to go full time. And the idea was, let's make sure we have a clear path to victory. Because if we didn't have a path to a license, Mashi, all of it would have been pointless, basically. So that was a big part. It was like, clear as much as possible, get a war chest of savings to sustain you for the marathon to come. And once we had that path in front of us and it was clear and we felt like we could do it, it was a possibility. It wasn't sure, but it was a good possibility. It's like, okay, well, we need to try take our shot, basically. It's time to take our shot, and that's it.
Nice. خبرني شوية عن scaling the company. Scaling is a very interesting topic. Like,
Yeah,
you took it to
absolutely.
2 to 3 person. I don't know how much employees.
Yeah, we're about 50 to 60 people. So
Yeah. So scaling is like, I think it's delicate لأنه
absolutely.
you should have a very good amount of balance to scale properly. خبرني شو what was the challenges in scaling Sarwa?
Scaling, I think there's a big timing component to it as well. So there's a lot of things that, and this word scaling, I feel like there's a lot of small parts to it. So you have scaling the operations. So initially there was our head of investment. He was the one who was manually trading all our clients. We had about 50 clients,
Wow.
and he was going in, spending in the night, and just manually trading them in, etc. And that was working at the beginning. But then as we grew to 100 and then close to 1,000, no way, it started becoming a huge liability, and even people weren't getting traded on time. Clients were complaining, so we needed to automate everything, and that's a lot of effort. You're going in, it's a 6-month project basically, if not a 1-year project. So there's a lot of timing component to it to anticipate. Okay, well, at that point, we're going to need to be automated on this system. Or I'll give you another example. It's quality, right? When you first start off, you're like MVP. It just needs to work. I just need to get it out there. It's okay if it sucks. It just needs to work, and it just needs to give some value.
Speed.
Yeah, speed. You want to be out there. You want to get feedback, and you don't want to just be perfecting something that maybe you put out there and no one uses. But once you're starting to scale, and once it's clear, okay, this is a winning product, but also there's a lot of people on it now, you can't afford to have quality issues. Every one of them, like even 1%, 1% of 100 is one, but 1% of 100,000, okay, that's 100. That's 1,000. It's a lot. You're gonna suffer, basically, because your client base, you want it to do this, but your team, you don't want it to grow at the same level. You want it to grow more slowly, right? Yeah. So that that's the whole point of a tech company. So that's another thing. Then there's scaling the culture. You start off small team. Everyone is very, very tight knit and very close. The founders usually have a lot of part to play in the culture of the company, and we always loved the culture of our company. We wanted to keep it as it grew. We didn't want to lose it and start basically becoming a soulless company. People don't know each other, and people don't feel connected to the work. And basically what that translated to was we grew slowly. We took our time. We interviewed, the founder interviews every person who comes into the company.
Nice.
We're very picky about the people coming in because, you bring in the right people, that's 50% of the battle, that's won, if not more.
100%.
And then it's onboarding and stuff like that.
I think there are companies that hires based on, I know this guy, he's a friend of a
it's not
friend.
Bad. The referral is pretty good if it's based
not
on
really
skill.
referrals, referrals based on, he'll owe me one, he knows this guy. هيدي I think كثير بتضر a certain company.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Talent is everything.
It is. هلا نحن in Sarwa, to be fair, we work a lot with friends. We have a few people who we have a lot of people who referred other people.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been a problem for us because we've always done that with the idea that but it needs to be a strong hire and a person who really fits the company, etc. So that's always been super important.
Yeah.
And every time I've deviated from that rule for whatever reason, usually it's like, we really need to hire now. This is the person we have in front of us. Let's just hire them. Every time I've regretted it. So, now we're very deliberate about hiring and how we hire.
Yeah. Let's talk a bit about AI.
Sure.
So, huge AI boom.
I've heard.
شو رأيك هو the main role هلا of AI in investing?
It's a good question. لأنه like نحن when we first started, I mean AI wasn't really a thing, but people were still very hyped about the idea of AI. I think a lot of people think of AI in investing as this thing that's going to make the investing decisions. But I'm not sure if that's not where we are today, and I'm not sure if we will ever get to that, or mainly because of how the market really works. It's a dynamic system. It learns from itself. It always changes. So I'm not sure if AI will ever be, and also it's competitive. I mean, if you have the AI, you make the great trades, but everyone else loses, and then the market equalizes. So maybe in the future, I don't think we're there right now. I think where AI comes in for investing is similar to what it does for a lot of other sectors. It's great at synthesizing information, bringing things together. If you care about a certain sector or a certain industry, or you're in VC or any other kind of investing, maybe it's not public stocks, right? It's going to help you bring in all that information in one place, maybe synthesize it and show you the things that you want to see. But I think the person who's reading this report, first off, they need to decide what kind of information they want to feed into this AI. And then what do they really care about? Like the decision maker, I have a hard time seeing where it's not an actual human at the end. It's going to have recommendations, strong recommendations from the AI, but the person pushing the button probably will always, or for a long time, be a human. If, maybe the main reason for that is because the AI itself is still black box and it's not really thinking. It's just, I mean, we've all been on an AI and had it hallucinate something and be very confident about it, right? So you still need to check the work, basically.
So you basically برأيك AI is still just for advisory and research?
Right now.
Okay.
Right now, yes. And that's what I'm seeing also in terms of how it's integrating into, at least in terms of retail finance. I don't know what goes into the big algorithmic trading algorithms in Goldman Sachs or those really big institutions. It's very secretive for a reason. I know it's their secret weapon if they that's how they make money. But last I checked, even that works, but doesn't seem to work too consistently or at scale. So there are question marks around that. At least in the right now. I don't know what's going to happen 5 years from now, 10 years from now.
Okay.
We'll see when we get there. I don't make predictions that far ahead.
كان عندك like if you want to bet on one thing, the biggest change in how people in our region will think about money and investing in the next 10 years, what would it be?
I'm not sure if it's just our region. I think for me, I think a bit more globally, and this is just my opinion, but probably I'm guessing it's shared by others. So the way I see it, decentralization is one of the things that is happening on the financial scene. So akid with blockchain being a big part of it, decentralized finance being a big part of it, and tokenization being a big part of it. So I think that's going to be a big feature. And what that will translate to is people being able to invest in asset classes that today are very tough for people to invest in. So I'm thinking VC, for example, startups, anything that's not public companies or private companies, or maybe even smaller projects. And I think that's going to be enabled also by AI. And we talked about how AI is really good at taking that information, at basically instructing us and being like an assistant or a mentor even. I think that's going to be a big part of what VCs do today when they vet startups. I think a big part of that is going to be taken over by AIs. And I'm taking VC as an example. What VCs do then is going to be much more specialized in terms of value creation and more targeted, more specialized sort of like assessment. But if I couple that with decentralized finance, I could definitely see everyday people starting to make their own decisions in terms of what to invest in and whether or not to invest and at what price.
Okay. You mentioned like blockchain. Uh, من شي 4 سنين I think there was a huge hype around blockchain, cryptocurrency, NFTs. بس بتحس شوي هيدي الهايب هيك ماتت شوي كمان. You
Yeah,
agree?
I do think so. I mean, there's always a hype sometime, you know. I mean, I think 2021 there was people like making big artwork for NFT and stuff like that, right? And yeah, I do think the hype died down a little bit. I don't know if it went away. I think there was a big part where we were expecting sort of a lot of things to move much faster than they actually move in the real world. But that being said, I don't think that it died. Like, you know, well, if we just look at cryptocurrencies, they're still advancing in terms of their adoption, in terms of governments talking about how they can integrate them into their own financial strategies. So it's still happening, but not at the pace that people, you know, imagined early on. I think people imagined the world was going to change in a day. So we'll see. It's true that we haven't seen any major applications, and I think that's the biggest thing. But maybe it's you know, I mean, if you look at AI, there was times in the past where there was a lot of hype for AI, right? And where everyone was, you know, sure that this was the moment that we're going to have this big revolution, and then it just, you know, wasn't. And then out of the blue, you know, we all woke up to ChatGPT. So who knows, maybe there will be a day like that where, you know, we forgot about blockchain, and then there's this company that finds this really great way to apply it. And, you know, we wake up one day and the world is different. So we'll see.
كيف بتشوف like what would be a super interesting application or super helpful application for blockchain or decentralized finance or public ownership?
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of applications that come to mind, but you know, I'm not a blockchain person. I'm not a, you know, I'm traditional financial instruments.
هلا انت you're a CTO كمان.
Yeah.
So ما كتير حابب انه اسالك like some financial questions بس what does wealth mean to you?
What do you mean?
Wealth. So wealth is أنا برأيي wealth like is something كل حدا عنده نظرة ل what is a wealthy person.
Okay.
So what is real wealth to you يعني someone that has maybe a lot of stocks, أراضي, money in the bank. So what is real wealth? A wealthy person.
I mean, I've always seen it as, okay, do you know what Maslow's pyramid is? Maslow's pyramids of needs.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, at the beginning you need to make sure you can eat, and then you need to make sure that you're safe and secure, right? You can survive. Then you start caring about, you know, higher order things. So I think wealth is when you stop needing to worry about security and, you know, what you're going to eat tomorrow. Will there be enough food? And what will happen if this and if that? So when you remove these and you're able to, you know, think about those higher order things, for me, that's what real wealth is. I mean, and, you know, that doesn't need to be being a billionaire or whatever. I think that's actually at a reasonable enough level of wealth. It depends, of course. You know, inflation is a thing, and you know, we all talk about how the world was less expensive for our parents or whatever, but I think, yeah, I think that's a big part, even in entrepreneurship. And, you know, there's this question of, do you want to have a small piece of a big pie or a big piece of a small pie? I think, you know, if the pie is big enough that, or the piece and the pie is big enough that you know, you just go over this minimum of, okay, you know, I'm secure. I can provide for my family. I can provide for myself. I don't need to worry about what's going to happen tomorrow if I stop working for a bit. Then you can, you know, you have some freedom. You have the capacity to think about what you really want to do with your time and and what kind of impact you really want to do. I think that's sort of the ideal, you know, with wealth.
إذا قاعد بوجهك someone 20 something in the Middle East, MENA region, who just like starting their career, starting life out of university, or even they decided to start a certain company, شو برأيك is the most important piece of advice فيك تعطيه؟
Well, for investing, I would say start investing. Maybe, don't put everything right now or dollar cost average, whatever. The exact timing is not the point. It's more about starting early. In general, the market goes up. If you gain 10 years of investing at the current rate of market growth,
It'll eventually go
it's
up.
huge difference because of compounding. So that's for investing. For everything else, I would say, just from my own experience of life, and I'm sure other people might have other advice, but from my own experience of life, people are the things that matters the most. Like after you invest in yourself, start investing in the people that are the good people around you, the people that matter, friends, family, and your network. Be selective, but invest in the right people, and invest time, invest money, but meaning the time, attention, and nurture those relationships. Just from my own experience, I don't think we would have gotten anywhere if it wasn't for this person helping us out at this time, this person coming in with a certain piece of advice, this person joining our team at a certain point. There's a huge list of thank you to this, thank you to this person, thank you to this person for getting as far as we did, and even getting as far as I did as a person in my life, right? That's what I would say.
Jad, it was a super interesting conversation.
Same here.
Like, I think you're building an empire at Sarwa.
Inshallah.
Wish you the best of luck. You're like, I know you now. I don't know your co-founders, but I'm sure great guys. I wish you the best of luck. Thank you for coming
You
on
too.
this podcast.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.